Hi everyone, and welcome back to another early morning video on the Yorkshire coast fossil hunting. We've decided to make the most of the early tides and come out to Port Mulgrave, which is a beach just left of Runswick Bay. I was actually here on Monday, I think it was. I walked around from Runswick Bay, but I didn't do much filming then. So hopefully we're going to go to the right hand side and then over to the left and pick up a few ammonite nodules if we're lucky. If anyone's not been to Port Mulgrave for a while, the people at the National Trust have done a really good job at making a really easy pathway down all the way to the bottom of the beach, so there's no rope needed like there was in the past here at Port Mulgrave. So that used to be the way down to the beach, that rope descent. There's no need for that now. There's a fantastic pathway over this way which has been created. So I'm out fossil collecting with my dad today, and he's not been to Port Mulgrave for a year or two. Remember the last time we was here, it was in the middle of winter. We couldn't get down to Runswick Bay because the roads were all frozen and we didn't want to risk the really steep drive down, so we came here and it absolutely started belting it down with rain. It was pitch black in the middle. It was probably about 6 in the morning during winter, so it was really dark and it was a nightmare getting down the road. There's no need for that now, thanks to this fantastic way down. So down on the beach now, there was no cars parked there, so it looks like we're the only ones so far. Not expecting a bag full, but you never know if the tide's washed anything in. Let's head on round and I'll come back to you on my very first find. I've just cracked open this rock here. I did see the edge of an ammonite, maybe it'll be a harpo or something, partial. Let's have a look. Yeah, just a partial, maybe a harpo or a Phylloceras or something like that. Nothing worth collecting though. So we've got a little bone block here, most likely fish bone, so that can just stay on the beach because I don't collect that. Well, that's quite an interesting find. A very sea-worn piece of marine reptile bone. I don't think that's fish bone, maybe it's a bit of jaw, but it's really worn, so it's hard to tell exactly what it is. Quite an interesting piece, so I'll take that one back. It's quite slim pickings at the moment, but I have just found a likely looking nodule here on the floor, sat within the shingle. Let's take a look. So there's nothing showing, but I'd say there's a very good chance of a DAC in there. So here's a good learning point for anyone who thinks it's a good idea to collect fossils from directly under the cliff. Look at all of these huge bits of sandstone which has fallen from the top up there somewhere. You'd have had no chance of moving out of the way of all that. Fortunately, that's just covered all the fossils. So we've had a look all the way to the right and found pretty much absolutely nothing. So we're slowly making our way to the left hand side and hopefully we'll have a little bit more luck over around that side. So that could be an interesting little find. I'm wondering if it could be a really eroded bone block. If it is, it's from the middle lias, I reckon, which is quite unusual. Never really found any middle lias bone. Well, I've finally spotted a find that has made it worthwhile coming out today. Now it's down here. A lovely looking tenucostatum and a nice round nodule. That's made it worthwhile coming out. I'm going to start making my way off the beach now. That little bit that I found earlier that I suspected may be bone, I'm not quite sure it is now, so I'm going to leave that one on the beach. But I did just pluck this out of a rock pool. Not one to hit, but you can just make out the very faint keel of a Tenucostatum there. So that's the outer whorl, and I imagine that's the mouth border. So it'll be all in there in this rock, but I'm not going to hit it because it won't split well. These tend to break open poorly, so I'm going to prep it back at home. But at least I've got two decent Tenucostatums now. We're going to have another early fossil hunt tomorrow morning, probably do somewhere easy like Saltwick, and we'll see what I find then. If you'd like to get your very own fossil from the Yorkshire coast, please take a look at my website called buyafossil.com. There's a bunch of beautiful prepared fossils and also children's boxes and unopened nodule boxes. Please take a look if you are interested, because we ship to most countries. Thank you. So I've just noticed up there's a bunch of really small and fast birds. I'm not sure if it's picking them up on the camera very well, but there's loads of them. Can any of you bird enthusiasts tell me what they are? Hi everyone, and welcome back to another early morning video. Instead of coming to Saltwick Bay, I've decided to come to Sandsend. Right, well, I've made it down the beach and I'll come back to you at my very first fossil find of the day. First find of the day, just a little middle. Looks like someone's already tapped it and discarded it, but I'm sure there'll be a nice one which can be made of that. So we had a little bit of rain last night and these must have fallen down because they're really fresh ones. The sea has not actually touched them, and there's footprints from the previous days all over, so they've definitely fallen with the rain. We've got a full one here, a full one here. You can see the keel running around the edge there. That'll be a really nice one. And there is also one inside here, but it's running through the middle there, so that's a prepper rather than a splitter. If you've enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like and hit that subscribe button to see more fossil hunting videos on the Yorkshire coast in the future. Thank you. So I've just had to duck under, and I did see this one here. There's a beautiful looking keel running around the edge, another fresh and crusty one. Hopefully it'll be all in there, so that is worth bringing back. I mean, you can see the keel running there, hopefully. Another beautiful Phylloceras. The rain has done the work. I do prefer it when the sea's in and it can give it a good wash out and there's loads scattered among the beach, but it's not always possible, especially in these summer months. So I'm way further round now, more towards Kettleness, and the find did dry up a little bit, so I've not really found or filmed much. But I have just spotted this, another fresh out ammonite, which has obviously just dropped from the cliff overnight due to that rain. Really nice example, pretty much all there, all crusty. Brilliant. Well, I've just hit a rock and unfortunately I broke a really nice harpo. It split into many pieces, not worth collecting unfortunately. There's about 100 different pieces that I'd have to gather and it's just not worth the effort unfortunately. But I have just spotted this. Now this isn't fresh out, it's actually been rolling around for a while, but it looks like a really nice example. One just to pop, get your chisel in there and it'll pop perfectly. They'll go in the nodule boxes. To me that looks like a pyrite cannonball which has lost all of its pyrite skin. So that's definitely worth tapping. Not sure what that is. It's always kind of awkward doing it with the camera, but wish me luck. Usually there's nothing in when you tap it with the camera on. It does look like an empty one. Making his way back now. It was a good job we found them 6 or 7 fresh dark nodules when we first got onto the beach, because it's been pretty slim pickings. Hopefully we'll find something a little bit further around on his way back. That's everything for today's video. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all on the next one. Okay everyone, so I'm back up off the beach now. Let's go ahead and do a bit of fossil preparation on that lovely little Phylloceras ammonite that I found, and then I'll go ahead and show you the finished result. Okay guys, so I've finished a little Phylloceras now. It took me about 2 hours. It was relatively a straightforward job, but it just needed a bit of very careful fossil preparation using my finest pen. So let's go ahead and take a look at this lovely little Phylloceras now. I'm really pleased with how it's actually turned out. Any of you eagle-eyed people will see there's 2 little ammonites there washed up into the Phylloceras' mouth border. I'm not sure what species they are, but they look lovely as a little addition, a little bonus fossil on the piece. I'm really pleased with how it turned out, because it's always a good day when you find a Phylloceras on the beach, and this one turned out a treat in my opinion. It's definitely going to be a lovely welcomed addition to my fossil collection. Speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and show you the other Phylloceras ammonites that I keep in my collection. They're definitely not common ammonites compared to the Dactylioceras, but I do enjoy collecting these when I find them on the beaches. So this one is a really beautiful Phylloceras, what I found at Ravenscar at the very start of the year. I've actually gone through a lot of my collection and added the years using the videos when I filmed them. I think that just helps going forward in the future when I look back at my collection. I'm actually noticing some really nice sutures in the sunlight, which I didn't see before in the dark in the house. Now moving on to my largest Phylloceras in my collection, and it was, as you can see there, found at Sandsend during the winter months. It's had a nice cut base, but it is a beautiful sized Phylloceras ammonite, and it was actually much bigger. I remember on the beach I split it down, so it would have been a really large sized Phylloceras when it was originally in the cliffs. But I think if I remember right, that section was all crushed, so I thought it was worth tapping it on the beach, and it actually did split really well, to be fair. Now this one is definitely one of my favourite ammonite finds, and I actually love the contrast of where on this side you can see how it was exposed on the edge of a rock. There was a bunch of little Dactylioceras and stuff, but I decided to split it down. I didn't really expect much, and look at what was on the other side. This gorgeous pyretized example. Let's get a closer look at the sutures on the edge. there. It really is a gorgeous specimen, one of my favourite ammonite finds, I think. So here they are, the 4 Phylloceras ammonites in my fossil collection, with the new addition right there. I have found a few more Phylloceras examples over the time I've been collecting, but I ended up moving them along because either I wasn't happy with them or I just got bored of them. For now, these 4 specimens will stay in my fossil collection in my cabinets for me to enjoy. Hopefully you've all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all on the next one.